Alright, upgrade of a micro from K2 LED board to Cree LED board. You have two different styles. If you have this style, just take your Allen key and remove your button heads. If you have this style, just turn your quarter turn receptacles and remove. Then we're going to remove the M4 screws. You got two that's holding the heatsink on this side and the reverse, and two that's holding the top panel and reverse. So we're going to quickly remove those, and we're doing that just to allow the heatsink to move freely while we're taking off the LED lens. So we'll take those 4 screws out on each side, hold them in reserve because you'll use them, of course, to put them back together once all said and done. This is a pretty compact way of changing it. You don't have to take the whole unit apart. All you have to do is remove these 2 panels, the top panel flap and the top panel back panel here, just to free up the heatsink, because everything else is going to work from this angle. So just hold your base and make your unit perpendicular, or vertical if you want to call it that way. Okay, just slightly pull your top panel down and just free up your LED panel so you can get to your 8 and 3x10 screws. That's your next step. You're going to release those 8 screws, so you just quickly remove those. Don't scratch your lens because you're going to reuse your front lens once you change your optics out. So we're going to remove those. My little screwdriver has a little bit of magnetism to it, but sometimes does not want to cooperate. Once you get these removed, the locator and retainer that's underneath this won't be used again because it has a different LED count than the new Cree board that you're going to be putting in. This has 22 LEDs. The new one will have 24. So you can just set that to the side, and won't be used again in this unit. Alright, once you get these out like that, you want to put this aside, and remember, put it somewhere where you're not going to scratch it. So I always put it on a soft cloth, debris free, like that. And then these, like I said, just take that aside, and you'll use that for anything that you have used for it before. You've got 8 M3x10 standoffs. You're going to remove those, and again, we won't be using those. We'll be using M3x8s in replacement. So again, you can set those to the side to use in some other application. Now, you may have 2 different ways to attach your color loom to the LED board. In this case, you see the color loom is soldered to the LED board at the Pikaflex. If your unit has the soldering, then you'll need to unsolder your old board and remove your color loom and solder it to your new board in the same location. The location on the new board is identical to the location on your old board. So your first position would be your 24 volt white LED wire, and then you'd have skip a section, blue, amber, green, and red, and that would leave a free section left at the end. So just follow the same schematic that's on your old board to your new board. If you have a ribbon cable like this, then all you have to do is unplug it from your old board, assemble your new board, and then plug your ribbon cable back into it. So those are the two options. In this case, it has the the color loom, so we're going to remove these standoffs. And then we're going to take a little bit of solder on your soldering gun and then just apply just enough heat to pluck those free. Just like that. And now that LED board is free to be removed. In most cases, the heatsink compound is going to create a bond and sealing, so you might have to press up a little bit gently underneath the Pikaflex here to free it from the board. Mine is free because I've been assembling and reassembling just for this video. But if you feel that it's tight, just put a little pressure right underneath the Pikaflex and release it from its heatsink compound. On the heatsink compound, we're going to be sending you some. It looks just like this. You want an even, thin layer across the whole surface to dissipate it properly. So if you when you find that you remove your LED board and you find that it's spatial like that, just put a little bit more on there, not much, and just even it out across the way. With a flat spatula or surface, so you have an even amount. And you don't want it to be too much because it'll ooze out the side and through the screw holes and cause it to make a huge mess when the actual unit gets fired up and running. The heat will dissipate it and make it softer and rise. So once you get that all evenly spread out, then you can put your new Cree board on there. The holes are identical, so it'll line right up, and you want to center your holes on the LED board over the holes on the actual heatsink. So you don't want it shifting one way to the left or one way to the right. You want it to be dead center when you're locking it down with your standoffs. So we have sent you some M3x5 standoffs and some M3 nylon washers. Fiber washers, actually. They're not nylon, excuse me. They were fiber washers. So you're going to take those two together and place it in all 8 of your screw holes. I have them already pre-assembled with the fiber washer onto the standoff. I like to hand tight them to get them all in place, and then go back with my nut driver and tighten them up. And you want to be careful not to over torque these, because they are very tender, and if you over torque them, they will break off on you. So you want to go hand tight and then just take your nut driver and get the firmness that you need to keep it tight all the way down. You don't want to over torque them and break them off. And this last one in the corner, sometimes it just needs a little bit of help because my fingers won't fit in there. Alright, So now we're just gently, 1 or 2 turns just to give it a nice tightness, and I'm not over torquing. You can feel when it started getting tight on you to back off of the torquing. Alright, those are now in place. Now, like I said, if you had the ribbon cable, you would just snap your ribbon cable in place, and it would be, the other end would be tied into your control board. But since we have the color loom on this one, I'm going to show you where to put your soldering in that same configuration as the before.
I wouldn't.